Hi folks, welcome to this video on the 21st century development of sport in the UK. This is obviously the last one in the history section. This is often, well, I'd say it's probably one of the easiest ones, because remember, this is the century that you were born and raised in, all you young whippersnappers watching this. I was born and did my growing up in the last century. God, that makes me feel really old. But this one is about you and the last couple of decades and what's really taken place in the UK since the year 2000 onwards. So again, we're going to go through it, looking at each section, your class, education, etc., and give you a couple of examples and show you the kind of things that the examiners are probably looking for. So in terms of class then, we still have a three-class society. We still have an upper class, a middle class, and a lower class. But there's a less obvious divide. There is still definitely a divide, but it's less obvious in a lot of cases in the country right now. However, some sports still have a set class system to them. Upper classes, polo, those kind of sports. Golf is still seen as a middle class sport, and lower class, people generally still take part in sports like football. But coming down to this image that we've got here of Wayne Rooney, sport is now seen as a tool for social mobility. Now, social mobility is moving from one class to another. Wayne Rooney comes from a working lower class background in Liverpool, but he is now a millionaire, multi-millionaire, off the back of becoming a professional footballer. So sport is now viewed as a way to move up the class system in certain sports. That links into this thing that we've got here. Remember, if you go back to public school boys, everyone wanted to be an amateur. It was about the honour of playing, not about payment. Professionals were looked down upon, frowned upon. You need to be paid to play this sport. How despicable. That view is now changed in the 21st century. People now want to become professionals because you can become mega rich off the back of being very good at your sport. Equally, those sports that had amateur tags to them, even last century, in the 20th century, athletics, rowing, swimming, those sports where you had to be quite well off to do it because there was no payment involved in that sport. Even as a lower class, working class person, you can now take part in amateur sports due to lottery funding. So anyone you see at the Olympics for Team GB who is an athlete or a rower or a swimmer is getting money from the National Lottery to do that. So that is allowing working class people, lower class people, to start doing sports full time, such as athletics and rowing, as I've written down here. They can now get lottery funding to support them in doing that. So our viewpoint on amateur and professionalism has changed a lot in this century. So in terms of law and order then, our next point, safety of spectators is crucial in this 21st century. So for example, wherever possible, I know this is slightly changing even as I'm doing this video, we're talking about bringing back safe standing, but the vast majority of stadia are all seated stadia. You've got a high police and CCTV presence in and around modern stadia to prevent hooliganism, to prevent violence from taking place, so you can identify those responsible. Equally, safety of performers is paramount in this 21st century. Officials, referees, umpires, etc., have a duty of care. So, for example, the concussion protocol in rugby, you've got to make sure that you follow that as an official, or else you can get done for it. The key thing here is, in this century, sport is a job. If you are a professional athlete and even an amateur athlete and receive funding for it, sport is your job. Therefore, you have the same laws protecting you as what we do when we go to work. So the laws become a very big part of sport, particularly in this century. And within that, you've got, for example, drug cheats. So when you used to get banned for taking drugs and things like that, now you can be banned and you can be prosecuted for taking drugs. Why? Because you have affected the ability of other athletes to earn money from their sport. If you have won a gold medal and you have, earned the next 2 years worth of funding from having a gold medal in your sport, and your rivals, particularly those who finish fourth who haven't got a medal, they haven't been invited to major events, they haven't earned as much money, and it turns out you cheated. Well, you've cheated them out of earnings, so you can now be prosecuted for taking drugs as well. So the laws become a very big part of sport in this 21st century. So in terms of education next then, carry over from the 20th century, PE compulsory on the national curriculum, absolutely right, but what's really increasing this century is we're getting more inter-school fixtures and competitions. So you will have played sport against other schools when you were, secondary education in particular. We've got more extracurricular sports, so after school club, lunchtime clubs, things like that. You can now do a variety of qualifications. So you can do GCSE PE, A-level PE, BTEC sport, degrees at university. So, sports science degrees where you can train to be an elite level coach and really work and improve the fitness of elite level performers. That's a career path now. And it's grown massively in this 21st century. And within the PE that you do at school and what you do at college and what you do at university, there's greater knowledge and theory, particularly surrounding health, diet, fitness. So we are more informed about how to train accurately and precisely and how to make really, quite refined improvements to people's individual fitness and sports performance. So in terms of gender, well, the headline news is we've now got, thankfully, more equality in the 21st century than we've ever had before. There is a lot less stereotyping of women. Particularly, when we, like last century, where sports was seen as stereotypically male. For prime example is boxing. Well, Nicola Adams in this country has done massive things for reversing the stereotyping around women and performing in certain sports. You've got more female sports becoming professional, such as football and cricket in the UK. So more women can earn a living and get a good living out of playing sport. You've had big campaigns such as the This Girl Can campaign to really raise the profile of women's sport and health and fitness. And we've got more media coverage and more female pundits. Alex Scott is a prime example of that. She's a household name now. You've got Gabby Logan as well. So the role of women in sport has really increased massively in this 21st century. The picture is a lot better. However, we've got to balance that with the fact that it is still male dominated. We are getting there, but we are not there yet. But it's a lot healthier than what it was in the last century. So to income then, money. Now, we have now got at this time in this 21st century more disposable income than we've ever had before across all three class systems. We have in this country a minimum wage and a living wage, so that people can be guaranteed to be earning X amount of money. That wasn't in place in the last century or the time before that. As a result, the vast majority of people in this country have got more money, disposable money, to spend on sport, gym memberships, buying equipment, becoming a member of a club, things like that. However, there's two things that we need to be wary of. The global recession in 2008, even as I'm doing this video now, it is still having an impact. Countries are still coming out of that global recession. So that's still had a negative impact and is still having a negative impact right now and affecting, the money in people's bank accounts and the money in people's pockets. As I'm doing this video right now, we are in lockdown of the coronavirus pandemic 2020. Now, as I'm doing this video, I'm trying to read into the future a little bit. There is going to be an economic impact of this coronavirus. Businesses have been shut down for a long period of time. Employment may fall as a result of this. People may have to pay higher taxes, and that's going to have likely a negative impact on disposable income, and therefore the amount of money people have got to spend on sport, fitness and health. So coming on to our last two then, so in terms of time, we've got more people working flexible hours and shifts than we've ever done before, not just the 9 to 5. So that means people can work around, or quite a few people have got the opportunity to work around things more. So they can free up evenings, they can free up weekends, they can free up mornings if they want to go to the gym, or they want to play sport, or they've got a fixture at a certain time, a midweek fixture. So there's more opportunity to change your hours of work than there's ever been before. We've also get more holiday time to book off work than we've ever had before. So again, that can free up opportunity to, if not participate in sport, to go away and spectate in sport. So people taking a week off and going to watch England play in a World Cup or something like that. So there's more opportunity to do that as well. However, we still have issues with the work-life balance in this country. And that is evidenced by the fact that we've seen a gradual decline in participation in sport in the UK every year since 2012. When we hosted the Olympics in 2012, there was a massive spike in participation. We were all inspired to take part. But every year since 2012, there's been a gradual decline in the number of people regularly doing physical activity each week. And that's across all age groups. So that's showing that there are obviously barriers to us maintaining and doing this sport. And one of the biggest barriers is time, having the time to do it. So it is a lot better, but there are still things that we need to be working on. And so finally, in terms of transport then, I'm stereotyping here, but generally a lot of homes have multiple cars, 2, maybe 3 cars per household. So you've got more opportunity to go to the gym, go to your sports club at the same time that someone else is going. So multiple car ownership means more movement of people to and from sporting events. You've got the development of cheap air travel, budget airlines. So you can go and spectate, you can go watch England playing a World Cup or a European Championship, something like that. More and more people are going skiing, going on skiing holidays, so opportunities to try new sports due to budget, cheaper air travel. So that's really expanded in this 21st century. But it's not just us, the spectators. Performers, players can easily travel. So you've got, look at the Premier League as a prime example. I think it's something like less than 35% of players in the English Premier League are English. So you've got a big influx of foreign players into domestic leagues. Now that raises the standard. Now you might argue that it waters down the standard of the English players. I think there's an argument for that. However, it raises the standard of the play. You get great overseas players coming to play in the English Premier League. That only happens when you've got very good and very advanced transport. Equally, players can go and play on pre-season tours. Manchester City, Manchester United going on a pre-season tour to North America would be a prime example. But Champions League football, the fact that players can go play and spectators can go watch football overseas can only occur when you've got cheaper and consistently high transport. So this video has been about 21st century developments in sport, going over the key areas and hopefully trying to bring in a few examples to bring it to life for you. Hope you found this video useful, folks.